and of course, downright fake science in a few instances for the sake of coherency in the storyline, which is utter crap to begin with anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stone Zone, the place where I blabber about Japanese cartoons. The last video did in fact hit 5 likes, so here's a part 2. For the millionth time though, I do respect his opinion. I even agree with some of the things he says because every show has its flaws, and everyone has their different opinion on it. It's impossible to make something that everyone likes, be it anime or literally anything else. The only reason I'm making this video is that it seems fun, and because some people act extremely poopily. Now, I have read a bunch of low rating reviews on Dr. Stone, but this one is by far the dumbest. The other ones are much calmer and have constructive criticism, while this one just sounds like some angry teenager who hates everything without deeper meaning. Also, don't hunt unicorns in Michigan because that's actually illegal. Go search it up if you want. Since I just helped you escape years of solitary confinement, thou shalt subscribe, or else. If Dr. Stone was a human being, it would be that one really annoying and narcissistic kid in class that thinks he knows everything about whatever shit and crap, but in reality is just a whiny little pussy that nobody respects.
Oh my god, can you not swear?
The first thing that I would like to argue is that the last two words are not accurate at all. I mean, Dr. Stone was 2019's Anime of the Year, and yet they have the balls to say that no one respects it. Also, this guy's personification of Dr. Stone doesn't make sense. It genuinely sounds like a teenager who's having a hard time IRL and wants to take it out. Dr. Stone is a narcissistic and overconfident kid, and rightfully so. I wish I could say that this analogy is 100% accurate. However, that is not the case, as the fanbase, which encompasses of turbo virgin redditors and other uneducated meaningless life forms, deeply respect and defend the show, almost making it impossible to criticize. So I'm not a turbo version, guys. I swear, I'm not uneducated either. For real though, I think this is taking it a bit too far. Straight up insulting people who like the Japanese cartoon, which he dislikes, is, let's say, quite immature. Also, I've made a couple of videos criticizing Dr. Stone as well, so you can't say that everyone defends Dr. Stone like it's their life. I'm not a turbo version, by the way. I get that this is shonen and all, so there are bound to be some illogical things here and there, but if you're going to add science as the main idea, then there can be absolutely no errors with the basic scientific laws that are used. As far as I know, there aren't any flaws with the basic science of Dr. Stone, except Gohaku's jumping skills. That's something that is never going to be answered. I've watched all those scientists react to Dr. Stone videos, and no one seems to have a problem with the physics. The science in this anime is a quirky aspect of it, so the authors can't afford to fuck up. I'm sure Inagaki knows this, so as far as I know, there are no errors with the basic science. A decent number of physicists and scientists have reacted to the show and have stated that everything is quite accurate. Obviously, some things are too perfect to be created in the Stone world, but since they're built by a shonen MC, that can be forgiven. I feel like anyone with a basic understanding of the physical science will be able to identify at least one or two scenes in which the writers just completely devoid themselves of all logic and break the laws of physics. I genuinely don't know where that confidence comes from. I feel like they should have done research instead of blindly stating something that isn't true at all. Also, shouldn't this person have a basic understanding of science? I would love to see some examples. Oh wait, there aren't any. The only positives in the show are the art and setting, but obviously that is not enough to make a good anime, yet it somehow worked anyway considering the crazy amount of promotion from Crunchyroll and the mentally special fanbase member. Yes indeed, since their taste in anime is different from the majority, they decided to blame it on the fact that Crunchyroll advertised it a lot. My disappointment is showing so clearly on my face. Too bad you can't see it. I'm not particularly fond of being toxic to people just because of their tastes, but when some angry person on the internet just decides that an anime got popular only due to promotion, it makes me quite angry. Grr. Starting easy, as I said earlier, the only thing good in the show is the setting and how the art manages to capture the idea of a stone world, which on a side note is a very creative title for a post-apocalyptic world. The only problem I have with this doesn't exactly have to do with the setting, but rather the writing, which is that they didn't make it clear at the beginning that it was only humans and some birds that were affected by the unusual phenomena that turned them into stone. The only thing that surprises me is the fact that they were literally able to find a fault in the one thing that they like about the show. Now let's get into the filth, so make sure you get the hot water running in the shower right now before continuing. Ah, fuck. As I mentioned earlier, I acknowledge that this is shonen, and there are bound to be some illogical things, and one of those things is the fact that Senku was able to count roughly the exact number of seconds that pass while still being stoned for 3,700 years. Now, normally I would give this a pass with the assumption that this plot convenience would have an important role to play in the course of this show. Unfortunately, it didn't. The only reason it existed was to add a hype moment for the ultra turbo virgin redditors and lonely YouTube surfers to make a big deal out of. It was that awful. Well, I would like to argue that we were given the exact number because that's what people crave. It will be quite annoying to not know the approximate amount of time that had passed. Actually, it would have given YouTubers another theory video. Huh. Anyway, I think I'll hack this guy's account, find his IP address, steal his cookies, and warn him to never make a turbo version joke ever again. Please stop, it's not good. Another filthy aspect of this show is the characters. Every single one of them. I partly agree with the first part, but not the second. This just comes down to personal preference, and the characters of Dr. Stone are extremely subjective. Senku is a guy with some Rick and Morty level IQ. Can confirm 10 billion % true. Proceeds to make a 10 billion joke and throwing away his dignity out of the window. His character is completely generic with such minimal personality that honestly just appears to be cringe most times. He's a bearable character in the beginning, but in the village arc, everything just seems dull. Taiju is the guy that packs the brunt of the duo. Just like Senku, Taiju is also completely generic in his respective character archetype, and neither of them receive any development at all. It's just the same two characters doing their thing to speedrun scientific advancements. I'm not going to say much here because it's just his opinion, but I feel like Senku is a great MC. When it comes to Taiju though, I don't understand why this person expects character development from someone who's basically irrelevant in the first season. I agree that some characters of Dr. Stone are bland and generic, but I feel like complicated characters would ruin the simplicity of Dr. Stone. Not to mention, but if Senku really does have such scientific intuition, then wouldn't he want to discover the cause of the stone world in the first place? I mean seriously, any real scientist would first want to discover the problem before fixing it. I don't care if they don't want to pay attention in class, at least pay attention while you're watching anime, please. Tsukasa is the type of guy that is dumber than Senku and stronger than Taiju. Because of this, I went under the false impression that he would be a good villain. The reason he doesn't want scientific advancement is because of a story about a guy that wanted seashells for his dying sister, but then some adult comes by and is like, oh, you can't do that, this is my property or something. Therefore, Tsukasa doesn't like science because it makes adults corrupt. Honestly, where in this story is there any mention that... Wait, no. Honestly, where in this story is there any mention of science corrupting? If anything, it should be capitalism or private property, and it would still be shit regardless. Sorry. I will say that some of Tsukasa's statements are a bit wanky and inconsistent, but he's at least written in a way where we understand his personality and thought process. We know that Tsukasa is trying to do good to the world, even though his methods don't make sense. I mean, how are these guys pure-hearted youth? I'm not going to go into much detail about Kohaku, but all you need to know is that she left the tournament arc, the very important tournament arc to decide the village chief, because of the slight probability that some child might be drowning since they were alone. That same child was alone exploring the forest multiple times, but no. Now all of a sudden, I care about being paranoid about a child's safety. Plot convenience. I understand what they're trying to say, but I've honestly never met someone this nitpicky before. I'm pretty sure there's a clear difference between drowning and exploring forest alone. Suika's life is definitely more important than a tournament in which Senku could find another way to win, so Kohaku being paranoid makes sense. The entire show is riddled with an unquantifiable amount of plot convenience, only according to you, sir, or ma'am. Appalling characters, not all of them. Unfunny jokes, your opinion. And of course, downright fake science in a few instances, for the sake of coherency in the storyline, which is utter crap to begin with anyway. Oh yeah, fake science. Everything in Dr. Stone is obviously fake science. All I can say is, please pay attention and do a little bit of research. It literally takes 30 seconds to search it up. Just to clarify, it's not the fake science that's the worst part of the show, but how the characters are written. The most important part in any show, I believe, is the characters and how they develop and contribute towards the overall story, and that's what the writers screwed up the most. Well, I don't necessarily believe that the characters are the most important part of the show, and I feel like the amazing plot just backs up the bland characters. If you really want a good shonen science show, watch FMA Brotherhood. Seriously, I would much rather watch this 10 times in a row if I'd known Dr. Stone would be such utter shit that makes my brain cells melt. Okay, alright, now he's just contradicting what he said earlier, because only a bozo would consider FMA a sci-fi. Alchemy and science are completely different things, and even if FMA had the sci-fi tag, the science would be more fake than this guy's maturity. I feel like this kid just wanted attention and wanted to feel quirky, which he did by hating on a popular show, aka Dr. Stone. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm super proud of this one, and it was really fun to make. So again, 5 likes and I'll do a part 2, so smack like. Oh, and subscribe, I almost forgot about that.